Hello, everybody. Happy afternoon. Well, Mr. Blackman, Miss Jilly, Rushlin. Hello, Miss Davidson. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm really excited for this webinar. Probably the number one question that I get. So excited to unpack this for you guys. We still got a bunch of people coming in. All right, Mr. Mosier can't unmute or share your video. No worries, sirs. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to drop it in the chat, or you can send me a private DM. Mr. Blackman's actually on vacation. He's in my neck of the woods at the Serrata, so don't let his background fool you. He just came off the beach right now. So surprised he doesn't have a margarita in hand. Hello, Mr. Brendan.
No, that was all day yesterday. I'm recovering today, ma'am.
Okay, it's a hydration day today then. Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to get started in about 60 seconds. Please make sure you have a pen and piece of paper or something to take notes with, because this is an actionable, tactical webinar. I can't stand when I go on trainings and it's all this like 50,000 view up above woo-woo mindset, rah-rah motivation. That's all right, but I want to know what immediately can I implement to help improve my lead quality, because it's a major frustration and complaint. Miss Jilly says, when are the Blackmans not on vacation, right? I mean, they are showing us how to live it up. That is, that's what I'm hoping to be doing when, a few more years down the line. Not just yet, though. All right. Can you guys do me a favor? Drop your location in the chat. This is an interactive webinar. This is not just sitting and listening to Cris. We've got Melbourne, got another Florida in the house, the Freedom State, Lakeland, another Florida, St. Pete Beach, Newcastle, Indiana, where there are more cows than there are people. All right, British Columbia. Awesome. Got our northern neighbors representing Tampa. It's my hometown, Atlanta, Kentucky. Awesome. My parents were just in Kentucky visiting my grandma. She's in Louisville. Very cool. Okay, guys, I know we'll have a few more people kind of coming in as we dive into this. As always, these are recorded. As always, we will blast out the recording and my slides via email. So as long as you're registered, which obviously you guys did, you'll be able to access that. That doesn't mean don't take notes. If you're in the car driving, definitely don't take notes. But there's just something really powerful that happens when we put pen to paper. It just helps us retain that information a little bit better. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and let's dive into 5 ways to improve lead quality. And let me just get my participants over here, just in case people are coming in a little bit late, and then I can still do that. Thank you, Ocean. Awesome. I've got my daily lunch coffee ready to go. And let's do this. Okay, so I see some familiar faces. I also see some newer faces, and always love newer faces. So really quick, I just want to give a quick overview of, who I am and why should you consider the information that I am telling you to be true. One, I've got a degree in elementary education, which means I absolutely love to teach. I'm the founder of GrowPro Agency. We're a multi-million-dollar ad agency, and we only work with martial arts schools. We don't even take fitness gyms on, only martial arts. I'm also a school owner, like a lot of you. I am actually we're celebrating our decade anniversary. Our 10-year anniversary is happening in September. We are so excited about that. And we're a BJJ and MMA school. So I'm a first degree black belt in BJJ and a third degree black belt in Taekwondo. I am a best-selling author, not the New York Times yet, an Amazon best-selling author, but I'm going to work my way up, of the book, The Best Known Dojo. If you have not gotten The Best Known Dojo, please send me a message. I will send it to you for free. Just need to tell me where to ship it to. I've spoken at so many school events, and I hopefully will see some of you guys at the Super Show. If you are going to Las Vegas and going to the Super Show, put Super Show in the chat box. Let's see who we've got that's going to be partying in Vegas. Miss Jilly, Super Show, she's going. Is anybody else going to the Super Show? Miss Davidson, awesome. I know a few more of you have to be going. If you haven't gone, it's the biggest martial arts conference like ever, and you should go because it's awesome. Mr. Blackman, Miss Barr, awesome, very cool. I'm also the digital marketing consultant for MAIA, which is the Martial Arts Industry Association. They are the longest standing consulting company in the industry. They've been helping schools to recruit more students, increase their revenue, and retain those students. I'm really proud to be on that team. I'm also the host of the 7-Figure CEO podcast. I've had many of articles published in Martial Arts Success Magazine. And what I think is the most important stat, and the reason why you should trust me on today's teaching, is because I've managed well over $3 million in paid ads solely for martial arts schools. And we are currently at Grow Pro Agency, my agency, spending about $150,000 a month on Facebook ads. That is a lot of money going out, which means that's a lot of data coming in. And this presentation is really based off of the findings after working with, we have about 300 school owners right now that we're running ads for. So I always say math is the path, and we want to make data-driven decisions. And that's really the basis of today's training. So as school owners, I think one of the major frustrations we have when we decide to start marketing online is spending money and then it not turning into leads, right? I mean, that is super frustrating. But I think what can even sometimes be more frustrating is spending the money, you get the leads, and the leads do not respond. If you have ever found a frustration with making lead follow-up calls from leads that you have found online, and you've found yourself getting frustrated because they don't respond or they don't pick up, drop a 1 in the chat box. Let's see how many of you are having trouble with this. All right, I'm seeing some 1s come in. Yes, it can be super frustrating, right? You're paying, you're putting your hard-earned dollars out into the machine. The machine is pumping back what it's telling you it's going to pump back, which are leads, but those leads aren't responding. And when they don't respond, it makes us feel as though that there is a lead quality issue. Okay. And we have heard this. It is, you know, like any other business, we don't have a 100% retention rate. I would, be really surprised at any business that would be able to hit that mark. And when we do get cancellations, oftentimes it's because the school owner had trouble converting the leads. It's very rare that they're not getting leads. It's the conversion of the lead. So we're going to be going over 5 ways to help improve that lead quality today. Before we do that, though, we do need to look at online marketing for what it is. Okay. And when you are marketing online, depending on the platform that you choose, different platforms have different results. And for the majority of school owners, typically the first platform that they start with is Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads is not what Facebook ads was 2 or 3 years ago. It's definitely not what it was 5 years ago, definitely not what it was 10 years ago. The platform has evolved, it's changed. There are more businesses on the platform than ever before. And if there's more businesses, that means there's more advertisers. And one of the things you have to understand are these platforms are auctions. And the more people that are vying for the attention of the same audience that you want, the more expensive your ads can cost you. But I want you to think just for a second, when you go on Facebook, why are you going on Facebook? I mean, yes, we have a business to run, right? And there are a lot of great aspects of Facebook where we can connect and network with each other as school owners in our industry. We can communicate with our students and their families with Facebook groups. But oftentimes we go to Facebook because we want to be entertained. We're bored. We're trying to kill some time. We have to stand in the line at the grocery store and we don't know what to do with ourselves if we have 2 minutes of just having to stand there. So the first thing we do is we grab our phone and we open up a social media app, right? Oftentimes people just go to Facebook for those reasons. They're not going to find your martial arts school. That's how Facebook and Instagram and TikTok marketing works. It's interest-based marketing. These companies have all of this data on us because this little thing is tracking everything that we do. So we are able to create these really cool specific audiences that we can show ads, but we have to remember most of these people aren't actively looking for martial arts. So we're planting a seed, and that is what interest-based marketing is. Now, if we kind of shift gears to Google, if I go to Google martial arts in this area, or I'll just tell you exactly what I just Googled. I Googled the cost of insulation. All right. I got a handyman right outside. We're in our new offices. He's building this 800 square foot office for our new agency concierge service that we're launching, where we actually follow up for our clients. We follow up within 5 minutes for their leads. So we have this kind of call center being built out. And I noticed he didn't have any insulation. And I'm thinking, man, these people are going to be on calls all day. We need insulation. I go, how much do you think it is? And he's like, I'm not from this area. He's from New York. He moved down here recently. He's like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. So I need insulation. So what did I do? I went to Google and I typed in, what's the average cost of insulation? And I got a bunch of answers. And then I took it a step further. I knew he was going to Lowe's right down the street. I went to the Lowe's website and then I looked at the cost. Okay. And then I nearly fainted and had a heart attack because it's a lot more than I thought it would be. But I have an intent. I need insulation. So I went to Google. Same thing with our families. Johnny comes home from a sports summer camp that he's at, and he's saying that he's getting bullied. Kid tripped him in the water line. Mom's had enough. She's like, man, you need to learn how to defend yourself. I'm going to Google and I'm going to type in martial arts in Tampa. You have interest-based marketing and you have intent-based marketing. And because they're different, that means that those prospects are ending up in a different stage of the customer journey. This is something I am super passionate about. It's actually the topic of my second book that I am currently writing. We have to understand that there are stages that prospects and customers go through. There are 6 stages. It starts with awareness, consideration, purchase, onboarding, retention, and advocacy. Those are the 6 stages. I don't know about you, but our goal at Gracie Pack is to get every single one of our students to that advocacy stage. I want them being brand ambassadors. I want them being walking billboards for my academy. I want them being VIP referral machines. And typically that advocacy level happens about, a year to 2 years into their journey, because it starts with them having awareness of our school. And when we're talking about interest-based and intent-based marketing, interest-based marketing is really popping people into this first stage of awareness. Oh, well, I saw your ad. I gave you my information. I am aware that you exist. Somebody that goes to Google and has an intent, they are automatically being dumped in that consideration phase, because they know that they want it. They see that you are available. They give you their information. And now they're just considering, do I go with you or do I go with your competitor that's down the road? Or really, with the exception of the bully situation that I just gave, oftentimes parents are just considering, what sport do I want my child to do? Are they going to do basketball? Are they going to do baseball? Are they going to do martial arts? So if it's a lead from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're being dumped into this awareness stage. If it's more of an intent lead like Google, they're in the consideration. Well, guess what? If somebody's in the awareness, it takes more work and more effort to get them to purchase than if they were in the consideration phase. So this is really important for you to understand where these leads are coming from, what those platforms are really built for, which is typically entertainment, right? Connecting and networking with other people. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Now, the next thing that I want you also to understand is that you might get a lead this month and you might have trouble getting on the phone with them or getting them to respond, but you have their email. And if you are a smart school owner, you have nurture sequences set up, meaning every couple of days, once a week, they are going to get correspondence from you that either educates them, entertains them, engages them, and ultimately helps to keep you top of mind, right? We are doing this so that we remain in their mental Rolodex. If you check your CRM, most of the industry standard CRMs have the ability to show you the first point of contact on when that prospect entered your system. So I was, just here to try to prove a point. So I went to my CRM and I looked at our enrollments for the month of June. And these are actual screenshots from my CRM. I want you to look at Shanna here. She was first entered into our system in July 1st of 2021. Now, look when she became a student, June 14th, 2022. That's almost an entire year that has gone by. Let's look at Hampton over here. They had their first point of contact with us December 6th, 2021. They enrolled June 13th, 2022. I hope, if anything, this puts it in perspective that the leads aren't garbage. It's just that some leads take longer to mature into a purchase longer than other leads. That's it. Okay. And this is proof, like these are actual screenshots from my CRM. So I would look at that, guys. I would go and look at all your enrollments from June, and I would go and look to see when was that first point of contact. Because if I would have written off Shanna or I would have written off Hampton here, that's 2 enrollments that I never would have received. And this brings me to the kind of most fundamental understanding of digital marketing that you must have, which is always be growing your list. You always need to be growing your list. And when I say list, when I say contact information, that means you need name, email, and phone number, all 3 of those. If you don't have those 3 things, to me, it's not a lead. Okay. We have about, I think it's 14 or 15,000 contacts on our email list, on our contact list inside of our CRM that we have been collecting for the last 10 years. Okay. I am a big fan of always growing your list because of this reason right here. I know that these leads, because we have nurture sequences and we're sending blast promotions and we're sending out emails and text messages, and we do cold calling outreach where we look at leads that came in 6 months plus ago and we pick up the phone. We go through our 4 steps of selling to bring them back in. It's called database reactivation. If you are doing those things, then the leads are not garbage. The leads are just taking a little bit longer to produce a purchase. Are there some leads that will never produce a purchase? Absolutely. However, business is about relationships. Mr. Blackman and Mrs. Blackman, they actually came to our new office 2 days ago, and they're here in Florida on some family stuff. And they decided kind of just last minute to purchase a rental property in Daytona. It's where Mrs. Blackman grew up, and there were multiple bids on the house. They won out, and I said, why do you think you guys went out? And Mrs. Blackman said she made it a point to not only talk to the selling agent and the buying agent about how she was raised in Daytona, her entire family is from Daytona. She made this connection with them that had them choose her, because business is about relationships. And while that lead might not produce a purchase, what happens if that lead has a friend that asks, hey, do you know about any jiu-jitsu schools in Tampa? And that lead could say, oh yeah, actually, I get these emails from Gracie Pack like once a week. Let me forward you the information. There's no such thing as a bad lead, guys. There's not. And you have to reframe your mind about it. And I think checking that CRM will help you reframing your mind. Okay. So with that being said, I want to share with you a lead follow-up study that was published in the Harvard Business Review. And this is something that's kind of been floating around in the marketing world for a while. And I was like, man, school owners really need to see this. So this particular case study was trying to figure out best practices for lead response management. Okay. And they were specific to the leads that were generated online. Because here's the thing, there are different levels of leads. The absolute best lead, in my opinion, is a referral lead. There's nothing better. If you gave me an option of having 10 referral leads or 10 Facebook leads, I'm taking the 10 referral leads, right? There's also a difference between an online lead and, let's say, a lead that you got at an open house when you set up a booth. Because at an open house, when you set up a booth, you are interacting with other people face to face. You are developing that relationship. And I would rather have 10 of those leads than 10 online leads. That doesn't mean I don't want the online leads, but there are different depths of leads. And I think that is important to understand as well. Okay, so this particular study was based specifically on web-generated leads. They examined 3 years of data, over 15,000 leads, and over 100,000 call attempts. This is why I always say math is the path. They focused on one question: how should companies respond to their leads? They were looking at how to maximize results and minimize efforts. This was their findings. Best day to make calls. They found that the absolute best days to make calls were on Wednesday and Thursday. They were able to connect with the prospect on those days more so than others. Does that mean you don't call on the other days? No, but I think that this is a great thing to test if you do have specific time blocks in your schedule, or you have your program director have specific time blocks in their schedule to do those calls. Wednesdays and Thursdays saw a considerable difference than the other days. Pretty interesting, right? Next up, best time to make contact. I was pretty surprised at this. We have something called call tracking turned on our Google business profile. Okay, so hopefully you have a Google business profile. This is what it looks like here. Let me get these little add-ons out, right? Your Google business profile. And one of the settings that you can turn on is called call tracking. And what that means is anytime somebody calls from your Google business profile on their cell phone. I mean, think when you've looked up a business and you're looking at their Google business profile, there's a little icon of a phone, and they can click on that icon and it automatically calls the business. Google will track that for you. And what we noticed is that we were getting the most calls at 12 p.m. and at 2 p.m. In this particular study, these are outgoing calls now, not incoming calls. For outgoing lead follow-up calls, they found that the best time to call was at 8 a.m. And then the second best time was around 4 to 5:30 p.m. Now, most of us have our classes starting probably around 4 p.m. that can make it kind of difficult for us to put time aside to call at those hours. However, if you have a team and you have help, that might be something you want to test, is trying to call later on in the day when people are off work, where they have the opportunity to pick up, right? It seems like before work and after work were the best times in this case study to call. There was a 164% difference between 1 and 2 p.m. and 4 and 5 p.m. And just because I'm a school owner myself, and just because I know when my team comes in, the majority of our follow-up calls are happening during this time. Because like at 4 o'clock, school gets hectic. Is there a way that you can shift and try to make those calls later on to where you can have more success getting in contact with them? Something to consider, okay? Next up, this is huge, and you hear this all the time. You'll hear it from website companies, the response time, okay? You gotta call within 5 minutes. Ideally, you wanna be calling them while they're still on your website. That's how quickly we want to call them. Now, obviously, if they're opting in at 2 a.m. in the morning, we're not gonna pick up the phone and call. But in this particular case study, they found that the absolute best time to respond was within 5 minutes. And there was a 10x decrease if the phone call came after that 5 minutes. Hopefully, the way that you have your marketing set up, a lead comes in, you get a notification, whether it's a text message or it's a phone call. An email notification isn't ideal. I don't have email notifications set up on my phone because this thing would be going off all day, every day. I have that turned on. If potentially you had that turned on, maybe, but I think that can be a huge distraction, getting pinged for every single email that comes in. You could potentially maybe set up a filter with your email so that you only get pinged on that. But a text message and a phone call, in my opinion, is the best way to go, right? We have it so that if a lead comes in, our client actually receives a phone call. They answer the phone, they hit the number 1, and it connects them to that lead. Okay, and a lot of the major industry standard websites can do that for you as well. But you are literally burning money if you are not following up within 5 minutes of when that lead comes in. Okay, this was super eye-opening. I'm sure you've heard of touch points, right? How many times does somebody need to see our business before they pull the trigger? I mean, there's some studies that say 7 times. There's some studies that say 30 times. This was specific about the chance of making contact with that lead based off of the number of calls. Most schools and program directors give up after 1 to 3 calls. That's it. They're done. 3rd call, they're not answering, no more. This particular study showed that there was a 90% chance of making contact if they called at least 6 times. Cris, 6 times? That's a little aggressive, don't you think? How many of you truly believe that martial arts can change somebody's lives? Drop a 1 in the comment if you truly believe that martial arts has the ability to change people's lives. Thank you, Mr. DePena. I'm gonna just drop a whole bunch of 1s in there because I've lived through it. If you know that the service that you offer can help solve a problem that this person is having, I think you are doing them a disservice not calling that many times. Don't look at it as aggressive. Look at it as, I'm here to help you and solve your problem. And there was a 90% chance that they made contact by the 6th call. Most people just give up too soon. Okay. From that, they also recognized that the most common method for first response was email. People were not picking up the phone. People were not texting. They were just sending an email. We have a gentleman that just signed on with us. He opened a brand new school in a city that he wasn't even living in. He signed the lease without ever stepping foot inside, hopped in a car, drove to the new location, got the keys. We started advertising immediately for him. First day, he's getting a ton of leads, and he reaches out and says, hey, none of them are responding to my email. And we said, well, did you call or text them? And he said, no. No matter what you think about people preferring to text, if my school and your school are right next door and you only email and text and I actually pick up the phone and I call, I'm going to be able to build better rapport. That's it. I'm going to be able to build better rapport if I pick up the phone and call. Cris, I don't like making phone calls. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things I don't like doing every day, but I do it anyways because it helps me get closer to my goals. You got to call, guys, and you got to text, and you got to email. Okay. Last up, in regards to immediacy of response, the average phone response time where these leads were actually getting a phone call was 44 hours after the lead came in. Yikes. We know the optimal phone response time is 5 minutes. They were getting a response in 44 hours, or they were reaching out 44 hours, okay? 50% of the leads were not responded to at all by phone. You got to pick up the phone, okay? You absolutely need to pick up the phone. So I hope that looking at this case study can kind of give you some insights of what type of follow-up should actually be occurring, okay? But let's say you implement some of that, you don't implement all of it. What can we actually do besides what we just went over to improve your lead quality? These are the 5 things. Number 1 is targeting, okay? The targeting aspect of Facebook and Instagram and Google is so powerful. It's what makes these platforms what they are, right? You stick a billboard out on the side of the road. You hope that the people that are driving by live within a close enough distance to where your business is. Same thing with the radio, right? You put an ad on the radio. The power of Facebook and Instagram and Google is this ability to target. TikTok is getting and working on it, but it's not quite there yet. TikTok uses something called DMA, which is designated marketing areas, and they don't have the ability yet to do close radius, like 5-mile radius or zip codes. They're gonna get there, they're just not there yet. But one of the things that you can do if you notice that the lead quality isn't what you want it to be, is instead of using a radius on your ads, which is what most people do, you can choose to target via zip code. Okay, you can choose to target via zip code. Now, one of the things you got to be careful about, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this here in a second, is judging a book by its cover, but you might say that's a zip code that's not as affluential. I don't want to put my ads in there. You've got to remember, you can only service a certain amount of people, which depending on your area might be 5 miles. Here in Tampa, it's about 4 to 5. If you're in Newcastle, Indiana, and there's like 2 martial arts schools within the next 100 miles, you can go out a little bit further, okay? But you can switch to zip code if you want to try to target a more specific area as opposed to radius. And also if you want to try to target a more affluential area, if you think that, hey, these leads, yeah, I'm getting in contact, but that they're telling me they can't afford my programs. So one way to improve lead quality is through targeting specifically with the location. The next way to change lead quality is to change the targeting with the income level. So inside of these platforms, you actually have the ability to target people based off of their industry and their profession. I prefer not to do this because you are basically saying, oh, well, if you're a cleaning person, you can't afford our services, so we're not gonna advertise for you. I don't think it's a great idea. However, if you're in this situation where you're getting just so many leads and you want to filter it out a little bit more to attract a more affluential clientele, this is one of the things that you can do, okay? The other thing that you can do, and that these slides were flipped, I'm sorry. I meant to show you this one. So this is for the profession. This is for the income level, my bad. So for the income level, you can literally do top 10% of zip codes, 10 to 25% of zip codes, top 5% of zip codes. And then you also have the ability to target based off of their industry, okay? So when I say targeting is a way to improve lead quality, there's 3 ways. Change from radius to zip code and only target more affluential areas. You can implement only certain income levels, and then you can also implement the industry or profession. One of the things you got to be careful of when you are running ads for a brick and mortar service is that we're brick and mortar. People have to come to our building. This is not e-com. If I am selling a product that I can sell to anybody online, then I'm going to put a lot more interest inside of the targeting on Facebook. What we have to be careful as brick and mortar businesses is that we're only, and we all have outliers. We all have those people that are willing to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to our school. And hopefully that doesn't change with the price of gases right now. But we all have those outliers. But your average student is probably only traveling a few miles. And the more interest you add, the smaller group of people you're going to be able to pull from. So you got to be careful adding all of these in unless you are just in a very saturated market where there are just a ton of people. The one thing I will say about adding in things like income level or their industry or only targeting more affluential areas is you got to be careful not to judge a book by its cover. We had this mother, she had her daughter training with us. They absolutely loved our programs. You know, they were just one of those awesome families. And they fell into some hard times and their payment was delinquent. So we reached out and called, didn't get an answer. They came into the class the next day. And, you know, we let them know, you know, we understand, you know, there's a payment issue here. And she basically said, I have a choice. I can either pay for my daughter's tuition or I can pay for my cell phone. She paid for her daughter's tuition. You got to be careful not to judge a book by its cover, because there are people that will choose you, even if you don't think that they're in the income level or the industry to be able to afford you. Just something to think about, okay? But that is one way to improve lead quality. The second way to improve lead quality is to add a little customer friction, okay? Customer friction, that doesn't sound like a good thing. Well, sometimes adding just a little layer of it can help to weed out the people that aren't very serious. And one of the ways that you can do that is by simply asking additional questions when you go to get their contact information, right? We always want to ask for the name, the email, and the phone number. An additional question that you could put in on an opt-in form would be, are you within driving distance of this major milestone? So we all, you know, in our cities, if you live in your city, you probably know the major milestones, right? I'm in Tampa, there's Busch Gardens, there's Adventure Island, there's the University of South Florida, there's UT, right? There's all of these milestones. You can add that in as an additional layer of customer friction to ensure that this person is within driving distance of your facility, okay? Asking the age of a child will get your Facebook ad account, it'll get the ad denied. So you can't really ask the age, but you can ask the grade level, right? So more than likely you have your classes separated for your kids program, at least by 2 age groups. Some of you have 3. If you follow the skills platform, there's 4 different age groups. So you can actually add that, and then you'll know when you're making that outgoing call to follow up what program that they are interested in. Okay. Another qualifying question: will, both guardians be able to come to the introductory lesson? What does that help you overcome? The whole, oh, I got to talk with my spouse, right? We hear that often as an objection. So we can add more questions on the opt-in. It could be checking a box. It could be having them state what their goal is. It could be letting you know, why they're interested. And what that requires is it requires them to take a little extra time to get the contact information. And again, it'll weed out people that might not be as serious. Okay. Number 3, the nature of your offer. Go into any of the Facebook groups in our industry, scroll down, and within a couple of scrolls, I bet you'll see a question about offers. Everybody wants to know what offer to use. And there's typically the free offer, there's the paid offer, and then there's the downsell paid offer. So some of the most popular offers in our industry for free on the left-hand side, and this is, how do I know this is popular? Well, because these are the requests that we get from clients, and these are also the ones that we see work the best. So this is from our actual client data. Free one-on-one introductory lesson, very popular. Free class, free one-on-one plus a free class, free week, 2 free weeks, and 30 days free. We get asked very often from school owners, just tell me what offer to do. And the reason why I don't like telling people what offer to do is because every single one of these offers has a different system and process that has to be implemented in order to enroll that student. If I tell you to do 30 days free, your follow-up to get the enrollment is going to be much different than if you're doing a free class. And that means if I'm changing one of your systems and processes, you've got to now train your team on how to implement that. So I'm wary in forcing people to use a specific offer. The other reason why I'm wary in it is because I know all of these offers will work. The question is which one are you going to make work for you? Now, a free offer is very much like going fishing and taking a net and throwing that net out into the ocean. And you pull that net up. And when you pull that net up, you get some fish, you get some guppies, you get a license plate, you get a tire, you get an old boot. You get good leads and you get not good leads because it's free. You hear school owners say all the time, oh, free means tire kickers, right? So then the other option is the paid option. Doing a paid trial, making them have some skin in the game. The thought process with this is, man, if you gave me $19 or $25 or $69, when I call, you're going to pick up because you already gave me some money. These are the paid offers that we have seen work really well. 3 classes for 19, 5 classes for 25, 14 days for $14. 2 weeks for 29, 2 weeks for 69. 2 weeks for 69 is more popular with our BJJ schools because oftentimes they give away BJJ uniforms, which are just more expensive wholesale than a karate uniform. So that allows them to not lose as much money on the front end. 4 weeks for 49, 6 weeks for 69, 5 classes for 25. What you'll see is there's a lot of alliteration going on in here, right? 14 for 14, 2 for 29, 4 for 49, 6 for 69, so on, okay? With that being said, again, all of these offers can work. Which one are you going to make work for you? And same thing with the paid. If you're doing 3 classes for 19, your systems and processes are much different than the school that is doing 6 weeks for 69. The first option, I got to enroll them within a first week. The next option, I have 6 weeks. I surely hope you're not waiting until the 6th week to convert them, but you have more time. Okay. They all work. Which one is going to work better for you? However, if you are consistently saying these leads, they're just tire kickers, they come in, they just want the free thing, well, then my recommendation would be to switch to a paid trial offer. What we do, which follows the Maya system, we do a free one-on-one introductory lesson. That is our bread and butter. Why do we do the free one-on-one? There is nothing that builds better rapport than one-on-one. There's just not. You can't argue. Stick them in a class. Oh, I stick them in a class. I give them a buddy. That's not better than one-on-one time with an instructor in regards to building rapport and being able to really dive into their problem that they're having so that you can pitch your unique solution. So what's the issue with the free one-on-one? You got to have somebody that can do the one-on-one. And if you're a one-person team, that can become a lot, right? So again, it's a system and a process. So we do the free one-on-one. We then go into our 4-step enrollment process. This is a Maya system. This is also something we've taught our Grow Pro clients. And then if there's any pushback at all, we will downsell to a paid trial program. That is what works for us. I know plenty of 7-figure schools that do it differently. And again, there's just many different ways to run a successful martial arts school. But I want to tell you is if you are saying all of these leads are tire kickers, if you're doing a free offer, you might want to consider going to a paid offer. I will get to these questions here in a second, Ms. Davidson, and because I'll get to that in a second. Facebook able to be zip code specific? Yes, sir. You can choose any zip code you want. Mr. Blackman says BOGO for $29.95, 4 weeks has been very successful. Buy one, get one. Miss Jilly says Elite Rock. Sure it does. Okay. This is kind of, based off of that number 2, which was add customer friction. You could even take it a step further and make them fill out a straight up application, right? You can, most of you have intake forms that you have people fill out and, you'll ask questions, like 1 out of 10, how important is it that your child develops confidence? 1 out of 10, how important is it that they learn how to defend themselves? And the reason why you do that is because you want to learn what their pain point is so that when you go to present, you have a solution that is unique to them. So again, you have a ton of leads coming in. You're finding that the quality isn't what you expected. You could potentially add more of an application process, which is just asking even more questions after the opt-in. So this first one with the customer friction, that happens on the actual opt-in. That's how much information we're asking them to give us. This application process would happen after they give you, maybe before you have them book the appointment on an online calendar. Okay. If I've got to fill out this application process, I'm probably going to be pretty serious about wanting to come to your school. Again, it's just a filter to weed out the people that aren't serious. Last one, and this is the one that is like pulling teeth for us at the agency to get from clients. You got to provide value first in your ads. And there's a few different ways that you can do that. The first way is with video content. One of the hardest things that we struggle with at the agency is getting assets, meaning getting pictures and getting videos from our clients. Why? Because there's a million hats you have to wear as a school owner. And if you are the instructor on the mat and you're also responsible for trying to get pictures for the marketing agency, that can become overwhelming. I get it. Okay. However, businesses are about relationships. I bet you have a relationship with one of the parents or one of your students that would be more than willing to help you out with this. You just have to ask. And for whatever reason, sometimes we just don't feel like asking or don't feel comfortable asking. Putting a video in front of a prospect, if they sit there and actually watch that video, they are going to have a more powerful connection to you and your business and your brand than just seeing an image. But what does that mean? For some of you, it means you got to get out of your comfort zone and you got to get comfortable on camera. It's one of the skill sets that every entrepreneur needs, or you need somebody on your team to feel confident in front of a camera. Cris, I'm not good at it. All right, well, Sensei, I'm not good at my sidekick. What are you going to tell me to go do? You're going to tell me to go practice more sidekicks. So you're not good at video marketing? Go practice more in front of a video camera. We expect that of our students. Why don't we expect that of ourselves? Putting a video out will help you pull in higher quality leads that are more connected to your message and your brand if the video is shot right. The other thing that you can do is provide tactical information in those videos. Call these edutainment videos. We educate them, but we're also entertaining them. This type of content you should feel so comfortable with because you guys are teachers. For those of you that have different stages of development with your kids' programs, could you put out a video that explains the 4 different stages of development and why you chose to set up your classes that way because it was the best way for the child to learn? I think most of you would feel probably a lot more comfortable doing the tactical info than, buy my 2-week for $29 trial. When we do these things, it ultimately makes us the authority. Look at the root word of authority. What is it? It's author. Who do we think the experts are? The authors and the speakers, the people on stage. If you're on stage, I'm assuming you're an expert. If you wrote a book, there's an assumption that you're an expert. Well, guess what? Every single one of you are a speaker when you are on camera. Shooting these types of videos will give you more of authoritative position in the prospect's mind. But you got to shoot them. And if you put these in your ads, this will help you improve your lead quality. Mr. Blackman says testimonial videos have been big. Absolutely. Kind of like user-generated content works really, really well. Testimonials work really, really well. How do you get testimonials? You ask. One of the best times to get testimonials are after big events like graduation ceremonies, testing ceremonies. Why? Because everybody's on a high. It's a great time to get those testimonials. Use those testimonials in your ads as videos, and it's going to help social proof what you're offering. To kind of wrap this up a little bit, you got to remember, if you want to increase quality of leads, then you are more than likely going to decrease quantity of leads. I'm going to say that again because I stuttered. If you want to increase the quality, you will more likely decrease the quantity. I am of the mindset that I want that wide net thrown out. And that's where I think everybody needs to start. You need to start with the biggest, widest net possible, get some flow, and then you can work backwards. If you're only getting 10, 20 leads a month, that's not what you need to do. You need to increase that quantity. Hit that quantity up so high that now you can start working backwards, adding in those customer friction, adding in a little bit more targeting to create a higher quality lead. I think the absolute worst thing is no lead flow to begin with. I think the time to use these tactics is when you have so much volume and the quality of the prospects are so low that you're willing to sacrifice the quantity. Okay. For those of you that are not clients at GrowPro, I'd love to extend a free marketing audit I'll have a QR code here. We are running a special right now, 50% off of your first month if you book during this webinar and you decide to enroll. Doesn't mean you're enrolling now. You'll book the marketing audit, but for the remainder of June, we are doing 50% off of the first month. And now I want to open it up to Q&A. So I know there were some questions in here that I wanted to get to. So is Facebook able to be zip code specific? Yes. I have a family. How do you handle work-life balance with responding within 5 minutes? Great question. I have a family too. I have a little boy, Cris. He's 2 years and 3 months, and he's like having 5 children instead of 1. That whole like high need. Apparently high need isn't the proper terminology. It's spirited. You're supposed to call them spirited children. I've got one of those spirited children, so I totally get that. You don't want to sacrifice your time, right? That's kind of what this comes down to. I don't want to sacrifice my time with my family for the business. So then the question becomes, well, how do you buy back time? You buy back time by having help. And I know that might not be everybody's business model. Maybe you want to kind of keep it small and you want to keep it just you and one other person, but that's how you buy back time, is you have people on your team that can do that for you. Okay. Let me see other questions in here. After someone compliments us, I ask them to give us a Facebook and Google review. Yes, great point. We ask if they want to communicate by text or phone call in the first text. Should we be doing it? 100%? Yes. So as a part of your automation, you can even put that as one of the qualifying questions. What is the way that you prefer to be contacted? Even if that is the way that they prefer, we're still going to pick up the phone. We'll start with that way, but we're still going to pick up the phone and call. I have a testimonial. Cris and her team at GrowPro, definitely very school. Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. DePena, you mentioned the study where best day call was Wednesday and Thursday. Did that study include weekends? I noticed I get the best response on my Google ads on Sunday. I was surprised by that. So we are hiring someone to contact leads on Sunday. I believe this case study was just Monday through Friday. It was not on the weekends because they did not have Saturdays and Sundays. I think you make a great point there. You know, we are getting ready to launch this concierge agency where we actually call the leads for the clients. This is an in-house thing. You know, there are a couple of options right now in our industry, but they're really being outsourced to call centers. We're not outsourcing this to a call center. We're doing it in-house. And one of the biggest decisions that we had to make was, well, what is the schedule going to be? And we decided that we have to make phone calls on the weekends. So that's going to be a different type of hire, and they're going to be on a different schedule for that exact reason. Great point. All right, suggestion on what to say on follow-up calls? Yes, ma'am. So I would use the 4 steps of selling that Maya teaches. So number 1 is the reason why I'm calling, right? Mrs. Johnson, the reason why I'm calling is that I know that you requested more information about our kids program. Step 2, we sell it. Sell your kids program, right? What makes you unique? What's your unique selling proposition? Step number 3, we're going to add a call to action with some urgency. I have some availability tonight at 5 p.m. or tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then step number 4 is you close it. Which one works better for you? Keep it simple. Use a framework. Do you recommend to advertise during summer? Yes. So there is a famous movie called Glengarry Glen Ross. It is great for anybody that does sales. And in Glengarry Glen Ross, there's a famous scene with Alec Baldwin, where he's talking to a group of salespeople, and he says, your only rule to remember is this: always be closing. It's the ABC. Always be closing. I can't be closing if I'm not advertising. So yes, now with that being said, are there certain periods throughout the year where I will increase my advertising? Yes. And there are 3 times you should look at that. That's going into summer, going out of summer, going into the new year. Why those 3 times in our industry? Well, because lifestyles change. I'm going into summer, school's over, lifestyles changing. I'm coming out of summer, we're going back to school, lifestyles changing. Going into the new year. The other reason why it's so important is because not only can we see an uptick in enrollments, we can also see an uptick in cancellations. And that's why you increase your ad spend during those times. Once you throw in the net, do we reduce ad spend and go for zip code specific? Once you throw the net, I would not reduce ad spend. I would just go zip code specific. Start getting calls around 3 to 4. Stat is definitely true. Awesome. Advertise all year. Okay, guys, we're right on the dot. 1 minute left. I appreciate you guys being on, investing your time with me. My email is midgettwister@gmail.com. If you have follow-up questions, maybe you're thinking about it afterwards, please send me an email. If you want a copy of my book, send me an email. I'll send you a copy of my book, no charge. And hopefully you got some notes, some tactical information. Hopefully that study was really impactful for you to see when and how often we should be following up. I appreciate everybody. Make it a great day. See some of you in Vegas. Bye, guys. Thank you, Mr. DePena. I appreciate you. Bye.